Daniel Mercer woke up on Thanksgiving morning with the strange feeling that something was wrong. The house was too quiet. No footsteps above him. No kitchen noise. No familiar smells drifting through the hallway. The silence felt heavy, like it was pressing down on his chest. He lay still for a moment, listening harder, hoping he was wrong. Nothing answered him, just the faint hum of the heater and his own breathing. He sat up and checked the time. 7:12 a.m. early, but not early enough for the house to feel abandoned. Thanksgiving mornings in this house were never calm. His mother usually woke before sunrise, clattering pans, humming old songs. His father watched morning news too loudly. His sister complained about being tired while stealing food from their counter. Noise was normal. Chaos was tradition. This silence felt unnatural. Daniel got out of bed and stepped into the hallway. The floor felt cold under his feet. He walked toward his sister's room first. The door was open. The bed was made. Her suitcase was gone. A thin line of unease crawled up his spine. He moved faster now, checking the guest room, then his parents' bedroom. Both were empty. The closets were missing clothes. Drawers stood half open, stripped clean. His heart started to pound. He rushed downstairs, 2 steps at a time. The living room looked untouched, but wrong. Decorative pillows were perfectly placed, like no one had sat there in days. The television was off. No shoes by the door. No jackets on the hooks. The kitchen lights were off, and the counters were bare. No groceries. No turkey. No note. Daniel stood there, frozen, trying to understand what he was seeing. Then his phone buzzed. The sound made him jump. He pulled it from his pocket and saw the family group chat light up. A new message. His mother's name at the top. 4. A second relief washed over him. Surely there was an explanation. A surprise. A misunderstanding. He opened the message. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll explain later. Please don't overreact. Fingers tightened around the phone. Overreact to what? Another notification appeared. A photo. The image loaded slowly, like it was taking its time to hurt him. When it finally sharpened, Daniel's breath caught in his throat. His parents stood side by side in an airport lounge, smiling wide, sunglasses perched on their heads. His sister leaned into her husband, holding a coffee, laughing at something off camera. Behind them, a sign showed an international departure gate. Luxury bags rested at their feet. The kind they never bought at home. A caption under the photo read, "Finally doing something for ourselves." Daniel stared at the screen, his mind blank. He scrolled up, searching for another message. A joke. A follow-up. Anything. There was nothing else. Just that photo. That sentence. They had left. All of them. Without him. His stomach twisted as the truth settled in. This wasn't sudden. This wasn't an emergency. This was planned. Carefully planned. They had booked tickets, packed bags, arranged rides. They had waited until he was asleep. They had left quietly on purpose, so there would be no questions, no guilt, no chance for him to object, and no invitation. Daniel lowered himself into a chair at the kitchen table. The chair scraped loudly against the floor, the sound echoing through the empty house. He welcomed the noise. It reminded him he was still. Their memories rushed in without permission. His mother asking him to take time off work because family comes first. His sister reminding him to buy groceries. His father thanking him for handling the bills again this month. Daniel had said yes to everything. He always did. He had rearranged his schedule, spent his savings, made sure everyone else would have a perfect holiday. while they were planning one without him. His phone buzzed again. Another message. This time from his sister. Don't be dramatic. We just needed a break. You understand, right? Daniel felt something inside him crack. Clean and sharp. Not rage. Not yet. It was worse than that. It was clarity. He finally saw the pattern he had spent years ignoring. He was useful, not essential. Reliable, not valued. He was the one who stayed behind to hold things together while everyone else moved on. They didn't worry about leaving him because they never considered that he might leave them. The house felt colder now. Bigger. Like it was pushing him out. He stood up and walked through the rooms again. Slower this time. Every space carried echoes of conversations where he had been last priority. Promises that were never returned. Thank yous that faded fast. He noticed small things he had missed before. The packed calendar on the fridge that didn't include his schedule. The travel brochures on the counter, hidden under mail. The checked-off list taped inside a cabinet door. They hadn't just left him behind. They had erased him from the plan. Daniel went back to the kitchen and sat down again. His hands shook, so he pressed them flat against the table. He took a deep breath, then another. He refused to cry. Tears felt too easy, too forgiving. Instead, a quiet resolve began to form. If they believed he would always be there, always waiting, always forgiving, they were wrong. He picked up his phone and typed a message, then erased it. Typed another. Erased that too. Anything emotional felt useless. They would brush it aside, call him sensitive, tell him he misunderstood. They always did. He needed time, space, control. Outside, the morning sun rose higher, shining through the windows onto the empty chairs. Thanksgiving morning continued like nothing had happened. But Daniel knew something had changed forever. He stood, grabbed his jacket, and stepped outside, locking the door behind him. The click echoed in the quiet street. For the first time, he didn't rush to fix the situation. He didn't chase after them. He didn't beg for answers. He walked away from the house, carrying a single steady thought with him. They had made their choice. Now, he would make his. Daniel did not follow them on social media. That was his first decision. It felt small, but it mattered. He muted the family group chat and turned his phone face down on the table. The house stayed quiet for days after Thanksgiving. And he stayed. Inside it, moving through rooms that felt unfamiliar now. Every wall reminded him of how easy it had been for them to leave him behind. That thought stayed with him, sharp and steady. He tried to distract himself with work, but his focus slipped. Numbers blurred. Emails went unread. His mind kept returning to the same question. How long had they been planning this? He replayed conversations in his head, hearing new meaning in old words. His mother's forced smiles. His father's sudden interest in his travel schedule. His sister asking casual questions about when he would be home. Each memory stacked neatly into a picture he could no longer ignore. Daniel had always believed loyalty would be returned. Now he saw how one-sided that belief had been. He was the one who paid late bills when money ran short. The one who covered small emergencies without being asked. The one who stayed calm so others could fall apart. It had felt like love. Now it felt like training. Late one night, he opened his laptop and logged into the accounts he managed for the family. Nothing illegal. Nothing hidden. Just systems that worked because he made them work. Utilities. Subscriptions. Automatic payments. Things no one else bothered to learn because Daniel always handled them. His fingers hovered over the keyboard. A few changes could cause chaos. Missed flights. Locked cards. Confusion that would follow them across borders. The thought gave him a rush he didn't expect. For the first time since that morning, he felt powerful. But the feeling didn't last. As soon as he imagined their panic, another image appeared. His mother calling him in tears. His father's voice tight with anger. His sister accusing him of being cruel. The same words they always used when he stepped out of line. He closed the laptop, heart racing. Revenge sounded satisfying until he pictured the aftermath. He didn't want to become the person they would point to as proof that he was the problem. Still, the urge didn't disappear. Days passed and messages trickled in. Photos of beaches. Short videos of sunsets. Captions about finally relaxing. None of them mentioned him. Not once. When they did text directly, it was shallow and careful. Like talking to someone fragile. Daniel replied with brief, polite messages. He refused to explain his feelings. He refused to argue. His calm unsettled them more than anger ever could. At night, he wrote. Not messages, but lists. Moments he had been overlooked. Promises broken quietly. Times he had been expected to sacrifice without question. The list grew longer than he thought possible. Seeing it written out hurt, but it also freed him. This was not one mistake. It was a pattern. With that realization came a plan, not of destruction, but of withdrawal. Daniel started looking for jobs in other cities. Not out of impulse, but purpose. He updated his resume, contacted old colleagues, applied to roles he had once ignored because they required moving away. Each application felt like reclaiming a piece of himself. He imagined a life where he was not on standby, not waiting to be needed. The idea scared him. Who was he without the role of helper? Without being the dependable one? That question followed him everywhere. On walks through the neighborhood, in grocery store aisles, in the quiet moments before sleep. Part of him feared that if he stopped giving, he would stop mattering. That fear had kept him in place for years. Now it stood in his way like a final test. One evening his mother called. Daniel let it ring. When it stopped, his phone buzzed with a voicemail. He listened later alone. Her voice sounded tired, defensive, wrapped in false warmth. She talked about stress, about how hard life had been, about how the trip was necessary. She never said sorry. She ended the message by asking if he could check something on the house account. Daniel laughed, sharp and humorless. Even now, even after everything, they reached for him without thinking. He didn't call back. Instead, he opened his laptop again. This time, he didn't touch the accounts. He opened a blank document and wrote a single sentence. I am allowed to choose myself. He stared at it until the words stopped feeling strange. The desire for revenge shifted then. It didn't disappear, but it changed shape. It became less about hurting them, and more about ending the quiet agreement that had kept him small. He realized the strongest move wasn't pulling the ground out from under them. It was stepping off it himself. A job offer came faster than he expected. Different city. Better pay. Real growth. Daniel read the email twice, then a third time. His hands trembled again, but this time from fear mixed with hope. Accepting meant change. It meant conflict. It meant no easy return to how things were. He accepted anyway. When his family returned, Daniel was already different. Not colder. Not cruel. Just clear. He no longer rehearsed conversations in his head, trying to justify himself. He no longer planned emotional speeches. He didn't need to convince them of anything. His plan was quiet, firm, and irreversible. Revenge had promised relief, but clarity gave him direction. And that, he realized, was far more dangerous to the people who had taken him for granted. The day his family came back, Daniel felt it before he saw them. The house changed tone, like the air itself had learned to speak again. Doors opened. Luggage rolled across the floor. Voices filled rooms that had been silent for weeks. He stayed. In his room at first, sitting on the edge of the bed, breathing slow, grounding himself. This was the moment everything had been building toward. The moment he had imagined in a dozen different ways. He heard his mother laugh, too loud, like she was trying to erase the past with sound. His sister talked fast, words stacked on top of each other. Excitement mixed with nerves. His father moved quietly, heavier steps than before. Daniel noticed everything. He always did. When he finally walked into the living room, all conversation stopped. 4 faces turned toward him at once. For a second, no one smiled. That pause told him more than any apology ever could. His mother recovered first. She crossed the room and hugged him tightly, holding on longer than usual. "We missed you," she said, her voice soft but uncertain. Daniel didn't hug back. He didn't push her away either. He simply stood there, still letting the moment pass. They sat together later at the dining table. No decorations, no celebration. Just food ordered at the last minute. The table felt smaller than it used to. Daniel watched them eat, watched their eyes flick toward him and then away. The guilt was there. He could feel it. But it was mixed with something else. Justification. His sister broke the silence. "You've been quiet," she said. "We thought you'd be more upset." Daniel looked at her, really looked. She seemed older somehow, less sure. "I was," he said calmly. "I just stopped explaining it." His father cleared his throat. "We didn't mean to hurt you," he said. "It was just time for something different." Daniel nodded slowly. "I know." That response surprised them. His mother frowned. "You know? I know why you did it," Daniel said. "You wanted freedom without consequences. And you assumed I'd understand, because I always do." The room went still again. His sister shifted in her chair. "That's not fair." Daniel didn't raise his voice. "It's honest." His mother leaned forward. "We've done so much for you." That was the sentence. The one he had expected. The one that always came when the truth got uncomfortable. Daniel felt the old anger rise, hot and familiar. This was the moment he had rehearsed in his head late at night. A moment where revenge stood within reach. He could list everything. Every bill, every sacrifice. Every time he stayed behind while they moved forward. He could make them feel small. He could make them beg. His fingers curled slightly under the table. Then he exhaled. "I'm not here to argue," he said. "I'm here to tell you something." They listened now. Truly listened. "I thought about getting back at you," Daniel continued. "I thought about doing things that would hurt you the way I was hurt. I wanted you to feel abandoned, confused, unimportant." His sister's eyes widened. His mother's lips pressed together. "But then I realized something," Daniel said. "If I do that, I'm still reacting to you. I'm still living around your choices." His father finally spoke. "So what are you saying?" Daniel stood up. His legs felt steady, strong. "I'm saying I'm leaving." Silence crashed into the room. "I accepted a job in another city," he said. "I move in 2 weeks." His mother stood abruptly. "You can't just leave." Daniel met her eyes. "You did." That landed hard. His sister shook her head. This feels extreme. It's not, Daniel said. It's overdue. His father rubbed his face. What about the house? The accounts? The things you handle? Daniel nodded. You'll need to handle them yourselves. Fear flickered across their faces. Not fear of losing him emotionally, but fear of losing convenience. He saw it clearly now, and it hurt less than he expected. His mother's voice cracked. Ah, you punishing us? Daniel considered the question. No, I'm choosing myself. The words felt solid. Real. For a moment he wondered if this was still revenge. Walking away. Taking his support with him. Letting them feel the weight of what they had taken for granted. Maybe it was. But it wasn't fueled by rage. It was fueled by truth. His sister started to cry. We didn't think you'd leave. Daniel softened just a little. That's the problem. He went to his room after that, heart pounding, mind strangely calm. He packed slowly, deliberately. Each item he placed in a box felt like closing a chapter, not slamming it shut, just turning the page. That night, lying in bed, crept in. Was he being selfish? Would he regret this? He imagined holidays alone. Missed birthdays. Awkward phone calls. The fear tried to pull him back. Then he remembered the empty house. The quiet Thanksgiving morning. The photo at the airport. The doubt faded. The next day his mother knocked on his door. She apologized. Really apologized. Not perfectly. Not completely. But it was something. Daniel listened. He didn't promise forgiveness. He didn't need to. The decision had already been made. As moving day approached, the tension shifted. His family tried harder. Asked questions, offered help. Daniel accepted some of it. Declined the rest. He no longer felt responsible for managing their emotions. That freedom felt unfamiliar, but right. On his last night in the house, Daniel stood in the doorway of his empty room. He felt no triumph, no bitterness, just clarity. Revenge had tempted him with control. Walking away gave him peace, and as he closed the door behind him, he understood that the real climax wasn't hurting them back. It was choosing not to stay where he was invisible. Daniel's new apartment was quiet, but it was a different kind of quiet than the house he had left behind. This silence did not feel empty. It felt open. Sunlight spilled through bare windows, landing on unpacked boxes stacked against the wall. The place smelled like fresh paint and dust, not old habits. He stood in the middle of the room, breathing it in, letting the reality settle. He was here because he chose to be. The first nights were the hardest. Without the noise of other people, his thoughts grew louder. He replayed the past in short flashes. The airport photo, the locked front door, the look on his mother's face when he said he was leaving. Some moments brought relief. Others brought guilt. He let them come and go without fighting them. Healing, he learned, was not about forgetting. It was about allowing pain to pass without chasing it. Work filled his days quickly. The new job demanded focus, skill, and confidence. No one then knew him as the dependable son or the quiet fixer. They knew him only by his work. At first, that scared him. Then it excited him. Every completed task felt earned. Every compliment felt clean. He wasn't filling a role built by someone else. He was building his own. His family called more often. Now, not constantly, but enough to notice the change. Conversations were careful, measured. His mother asked about his job. His father asked practical questions. His sister tried to joke like before, but something had shifted between them. Daniel answered honestly but briefly. He didn't offer more than was asked. Boundaries, he realized, were not walls. They were definitions. One evening, his mother asked, "Are you happier?" Daniel paused. The question felt heavy. "I'm steadier," he said. "That matters more right now." After the call ended, he sat in the dark, thinking about revenge. The desire had faded, but it still echoed faintly, like a memory of heat after a fire goes out. He wondered what would have happened if he had chosen differently. If he had disrupted their lives the way they disrupted his. If the satisfaction would have lasted. He knew the answer. It wouldn't have. Revenge would have tied him to them in a new way, just as tight as before. It would have kept his life moving in reaction, not direction. Walking away had done something quieter but stronger. It had given him space to see himself clearly. Weeks turned into months. Daniel made friends at work. He explored the city alone. At first, then with others. Coffee shops replaced old routines. Streets replaced memories. Slowly, the anger lost its edge. What remained was understanding. His family had not acted out of hatred. They had acted out of comfort. They were used to him bending, used to him staying, used to him carrying weight without complaint. Understanding did not excuse the hurt, but it released him from carrying it forever. Thanksgiving returned sooner than he expected. The date appeared on his calendar and his chest tightened. Old instincts stirred. He almost deleted the reminder. Instead, he stared at it and made a choice. He invited a few people over. Co-workers, neighbors, people who had become part of his new life. He cooked simple food. Nothing fancy. Enough to share. As the evening unfolded, laughter filled the room. Real laughter. The kind that didn't require effort or performance. At one point, Daniel stepped into the kitchen alone. He looked around and smiled. This was what he had wanted all along. Not perfection. Not loyalty built on obligation. Just presence. Just being chosen. His phone buzzed. A message from his family group chat. Happy Thanksgiving. We miss you. Daniel read it without anger. Without pain. He typed back a simple reply. Happy Thanksgiving. That was enough. Later that night, after everyone left, Daniel sat by the window and watched the city lights flicker. He thought about the person he had been a year ago. The man who believed endurance was love. The man who stayed quiet to keep peace. The man who woke up alone in a house full of people who had already left him. He didn't judge that version of himself. He honored him. That man had survived long enough to reach this moment. Revenge, Daniel realized, had been a doorway, not a destination. It had shown him where the pain was. But healing came from walking past it, not staying inside. He had not destroyed his family. He had not cut them off. He had not won or lost. He had changed. And that change carried consequences. Some relationships grew weaker. Others grew stronger. Some wounds stayed tender. But none of them controlled him anymore. As the night deepened, Daniel turned off the lights and prepared for sleep. Tomorrow would come. Not perfect. Not painless. But his and for the first time, that was enough. Because revenge promises power. But freedom delivers peace.